Jeez, this is like the fifth or fourth time I'm recording this. I thought I heard something. Anyway, hello everyone. Welcome to Enthusiast Person, my very first podcast and my very first episode. I am your host, Sipile Shange. Welcome. I'm very excited. I hope you are too, and I hope you stick around and just enjoy this ride with me. Hopefully, it becomes a very fun one. Um, so yeah, this podcast is just mainly going to be about film and television shows. I love talking about them. I love watching them. I love listening to other people talk about them, and I love doing my research on the industry as well. I think it's very fascinating and very. I mean, obviously, it has its dark sides, but you know, we don't talk about that sometimes. No, but we should. We should talk about them. I wanted to have an outlet for myself where I can also just express my opinions and my preferences and my interests in certain parts of film and television. I actually during quarantine I watched quite a lot of movies and shows, mainly K-dramas, and I needed someone to talk about them with, or just get my thoughts and feelings about them out somewhere. So I thought, why not just start a podcast? Like, what do you have to lose if you do? So this is mainly just for me, and it's gonna make me happy, and it's literally pushing me out of my comfort zone, but that's really fine, and I'm happy about it, and it's exciting, and it's just gonna allow me to grow as a person. So I am going to have a good time doing this, and I hope you have a good time listening to me. So for today, I thought I would have an episode that kind of lets you guys get to know me and my tastes and my preferences. So I thought I would talk about my top four favorite films, not of all time, but just my top four favorites currently, and what I think really describes me as a person as well. If someone had to ask me what kind of person you are, describe yourself in like four movies or something like that, I would mention these four movies, and I highly recommend all of them. They're amazing. Disclaimer, there will be spoilers, so if you haven't watched any of them, stop listening, go watch them, come back, and we can just chat about them, talk about them. Yeah. Most of them are not in English. 3 out of 4 of them are not in English. So if I mispronounce any names or anything, I do apologize. These languages I don't know anything about, and I haven't learned them or spoken them ever. So again, I apologize. Yeah, I think we can get started. Oh, how it's going to be structured, I'm going to talk about the synopsis of the film, just give you an idea of what the film's about, and let you hear what's going on in the film. And then I'm going to talk about what I liked about it. So the cinematography, the editing, the soundtrack, the directing, all of that nice jazzy stuff. And then I will talk about my favorite parts of the film, so that the moments that stuck with me and that I can recite word for word. I'll talk about those, and then we can we'll just end it there with those 3 sections. Yeah, I think we can get started then. What should we start with? Yeah, let's start with that one. Okay. So the first film I'd like to talk about is Your Name, which is a Japanese animation which was released in 2016, directed and written by Makoto Shinaka. I absolutely love this film. The synopsis says, high schoolers Mitsuha and Taki are complete strangers living separate lives. But one night, they suddenly switch places. Mitsuha wakes up in Taki's body and he in hers. This bizarre occurrence continues to happen randomly, and the two must adjust their lives around each other. So, I think the genre, my bad, the genre I would say this movie is kind of science fiction, romance drama. There's like an element of time travel in it as well. It kind of gives off a an interstellar vibe with like the time, the talk, no, the concept of time. Jeez, why did it take me so long to think of that word? But the concept of time and how it can be like manipulated, and the different paths one can go in that specific timeline, kind of. I really enjoy this movie. Mitsuo is kind of like, she's someone that lives in the rural side of Japan, so like in the middle of nowhere, and then Taki lives in like a very populated city, and like that dynamic between them and having them switch bodies and have to work their way around those different aspects of their lives, I think is very interesting. Also, just like besides them switching from female to male, I just besides that, I think the concept of them having to work around the areas in which they live and their friends and their family is very interesting. Mitsuo lives with her grandmother and her sister, and her dad is the mayor of the town, or a politician, I think. One of the two. Isn't it the same thing? And he doesn't really take care of the family, and her mother passed away as well. Taki, he lives with just his dad, and his mother also passed away as well. So they kind of have that in common. I don't know if I should have said that. Yeah. What I liked about the movie is the message of like people being connected. There's a quote um, that I wrote down that really describes the movie to a T. It goes, chords represent the flow of time itself. The threads twist, tangle, unravel, and connect again. And I think once you watch the movie like a second time, you pick up that line, and you kind of also relate it to the story and what's happening. I think it that line, that like those words beautifully describe what the film is about as well. I think it's so great, and how Shinaka just was able to tell the story and have those messages kind of conveyed in beautiful visuals. The visuals, the animation is so great. I think it's very shiny and clear and clean. I love animation. I love anime as well, and I think Shinaka did a very great job in this animation as well. He has some other works. I think it's 5 centimeters apart, or 5 centimeters of rain apart, or something like that. And mm, another one, something about withering times, and they all look the same, and they're all beautiful, and he's very talented. My favorite part in the movie, I would have to say, I have two. The first one would be when Taki goes looking for Mutsuwa, when they stop switching bodies, Taki gets concerned, so he goes looking for Mutsuwa, and I think the way the events kind of unfold in that moment was very interesting, and it's kind of like the climax of the movie. Can I say that? No. Mm, was it the climax of the movie? No, no, it was not the climax of the movie. I think it's more it was more yeah, no. It just added to the story. It wasn't the climax. I think the second part that was my favorite was the climax of the movie, when they actually do catch up with one another, and it's like during a twilight time, and they just talk to one another, and then they have to write each other's names down before they forget, and then as soon as twilight ends and they stop seeing each other, then I think that's a beautiful moment. I don't want to talk too much about that part, but if you haven't watched it, please go watch it. It's fantastic. I absolutely love it. It's just a fun cartoon about two teenagers traveling through time and switching bodies. It's a great time. I think the next one I'm going to do is In the Mood for Love. And this movie. When I tell you, I spent um most of my quarantine watching the director's work, Wang Kai Wai. He is fantastic. I watched Chungking Express, Happy Together, Days of Being Wild, 2046. The 46 or 49? I think it's 46. Yeah, 2046. I want to watch Fallen Angels, and then yeah, obviously In the Mood for Love I watched as well. His work is fantastic. He's so good with the camera and the way he shoots like specific moments. Oh, he's just brilliant, and I absolutely love him. He's like one of my favorites of like directors so far. And I don't know if this is that gonna happen, but I read somewhere that they're gonna make a sequel to, which one is it now? In the Mood for Love, yeah, a sequel to In the Mood for Love, called Blooms. I hope it's true, and I hope he brings back the same actors and actresses because ooh, these two are fantastic in this role. I love this movie so much. Let me actually talk about it. So, In the Mood for Love, released in 2000, directed by Wang Kai Wai, and written and produced by him. Yeah, written and produced by him. Starring Maggie Chung and Tony Luang. Again, I'm sorry if I mispronounce anyone's name. The movie is set in 1962, between 1962 and 1966 in Hong Kong. And I think he picked that specific time because of what was happening in Hong Kong during that time, and he kind of related the main story to what was happening in Hong Kong. So like kind of like the backdrop of the movie of as what was happening in Hong Kong. What was like the it was the rise of like, oh, I don't want to misspeak and not say the correct thing. It had to do something with communism and capitalism as well in that time. If I'm wrong and someone wants to educate me, please do. But he purposely picked that time in Hong Kong. So the movie is about these two couples who move into a populated apartment in Hong Kong, and so Maggie and Tony's significant others are very busy, and they don't really see each other much, or make time for each other. So as the movie goes on, we find out that they are cheating on each other. So Maggie and Tony's significant others, so Tony's wife and Maggie's husband, are having an affair, and they find out about it, and then they kind of go through this emotional roller coaster with each other, and they kind of like confide in one another as well once they find out. And what I like about this concept, I think it's a different perspective from what I've watched and from like the things I've consumed. I think this is a different perspective on affairs and relationship, and I think he does it in a really visual, a really visualistic. Am I saying the right thing? No. Let me go back. He does it in a he puts beautiful visuals towards what he is trying to like towards the message he's trying to put out. That's what I'm trying to say. And I really enjoy it. So yeah, what I liked about it is how what I liked about it is the directing, obviously. The soundtrack is absolutely amazing. The editing as well. Um, Obviously the different perspective on affairs. And I think Maggie and Tony do a fantastic job in the roles that they're in. Let me just talk about my favorite moments because I could go on and on about these moments. They're so beautiful and so good. I there's okay. So throughout the movie, they kind of have like throw glances at each other, Tony and Maggie, And as they do, it's like in slow motion, and there's like this specific track, the specific song that plays in the background when they do, and it's so beautiful. And so I think, to like me personally, I think it's very emotional. I think it really speaks to their relationship and that longing they kind of have for each other. But they know that they can't really do anything because they're just going to be as bad as their significant other. But we know as the audience that they really do love each other. Not they don't really say it, but they love each other, and they've really grown fond of each other. Another moment is when they are in a room together. This is like early on when they just found out about their significant others cheating or having an affair, and they are in a room together and they have to spend the whole night together, but not in like in a sexual way. They just talk and spend time with each other, and I think it's very sweet, and it's very, very wholesome, and it says so much about their relationship, and it's so good. um and the way, oh my god, again, Wong, the way he films a room, he does this like some multiple times in his work. He also did it in Happy Together. The way he films people in a room, I don't know what it is or how to literally describe it, but I think he really fills up the space of the room and on the screen as well. And I think it's great and amazing and brilliant, and that's why I love his work. He just does so much with so little sometimes. um and throughout this film, you kind of realize that this was mentioned by, I watched a YouTube video about a crash course. Just type in the mood for love crash course, and they mention how he shoots like little individual moments that kind of mean something different from each other, but like once they actually all come together, they kind of tell this very different story, um, which I absolutely love as well, and I think it's great. I think just check out In the Mood for Love. It's a fantastic time. It's a very beautiful film to watch, and it's visually pleasing as well. Like the colors used, oh, so good, so good. I absolutely love it. I love it so much, and I could talk about it on and on. Like every scene. Oh, and the line. Okay, I did write down a line that I liked. It goes, "We won't be like them." I mean, they won't be like them. They won't be like her husband and his wife. Oh my god, it's so the story and everything is just fantastic. I absolutely love it. On to the next one now. I don't want to make these too long, so I'm just kind of going through them. So, Moonlight. Moonlight, released in 2016, directed by Barry Jenkins, based on a play by Terry Elvin McCorney, called In the Moonlight, the Black Boys Look Blue. I'ma call you Blue. That's one of the lines that I like from the movie. But I mean, if you haven't heard of Moonlight at this point, what are you doing? Like my last two ones, Moonlight and Parasite, which is I'm going to talk about after Moonlight. I mean, if you haven't heard about them and if you haven't watched them, what are you doing? These movies are fantastic. Moonlight is fantastic and an emotional roller coaster. I have cried in each one of these movies. Every time I rewatch Moonlight, I think I've rewatched it, I think 5 times now. I cried every single time. I love this movie so much. The message behind it, the visuals, oh, fantastic. It's so perfect to me. Um, I will not accept any slander on Moonlight. Moonlight is brilliant, and yes, it deserved to win Best Picture of La La Land. I will not take that back. I love this movie so much. So about Moonlight, um, the tender, heartbreaking story of a young man's struggle to find himself, told across 3 defining chapters in his life as he experiences the ecstasy, pain, and the beauty of falling in love while grappling with his own sexuality. Ladies and gentlemen, non binaries, this movie, I the throughout the whole of high school, I used to be a hopeless romantic. Then I went into university. That went away. I became very cynical. I still kind of am. And slowly, um, I've become a hopeless romantic again, like very slowly. I think mainly because of the K dramas I watch. They're very, very cute and very romantic. Um, so, and it's so weird because I think Moonlight, yeah, Moonlight and In the Mood for Love, I think are the only, no, Moonlight, In the Mood for Love, and Your Name are the ones that are very just like romantic movies. But I don't like rom-coms. They're fun. They're a fun time, and I will watch them. I might actually do an episode on my favorite rom-coms as well. We'll see. But Parasite, like those kind of films, Parasite, Psycho, God, why can't think of any? Goodfellas. I think those movies really just, oh, Nightcrawler also, like the twisted kind of thriller movies. I absolutely adore them. I love them so much. But on occasion, um I'll have a romance sprinkled in there as well, like a very good romance. Sometimes not that much, but yeah, like Moonlight, so good. Obviously, I said what the synopsis is. What I liked about it, obviously, the themes of this young man trying to grapple his sexuality. It frustrates me so much, and I'm gonna say this now in my first podcast, how people don't let other people love who they want to love. Like, who are you to tell them or to tell me who it is? Like, literally just concentrate on your own life and forget about who I'm loving and who I want to love, just it's so frustrating and so baffling to me. As well as like hyper masculine hyper masculine men. Like, just sit down, please. So that's my political view. um, yeah, but what I like about this movie is obviously the themes, and also that the fact that everyone in this cast is black. You know how little movies there are with an all black cast out there, and with a film where they're not struggling. I just want to have a good time. Like what's the movie? Issa Rae in what's the movie called? The Photograph. That's a good time movie. That's a good time movie with black people in it. I enjoy that movie, and I want more movies like that, and more movies like Moonlight. Even though it was sad, but this, yeah, no, it's great. And besides the fact that it's an all black cast, the directing, Barry Jenkins does a great job, as well as if Beale Street Could Talk. Barry Jenkins, actually, he was the one who introduced me to Wong Kar-wai. He mentioned it in a roundtable talk, Hollywood Reporter. He mentioned Chungking Express and how that movie kind of inspired him to be in film. And I was like, okay, that's cool. I liked Moonlight, so I'm gonna obviously um, take your word for Chungking Express being a great movie. And so I just put on my watch list, and you know, that's the way. That's how I fell in love with Wong, through Barry Jenkins. Anyway, yeah, so the directing is fantastic. The cinematography, oh my, the coloring of this movie is so, the use of blue throughout this movie, it means so much. And like, you could literally on YouTube, you could just find so many videos analyzing the use of blue in this movie. I think it's so good. As well as the soundtrack. I I have if Beale Street Could Talk soundtrack on my Spotify. That soundtrack slaps. It is sad, but it's really good. I think Nicholas did the same soundtrack in, yeah, no, he did. Yeah, Nicholas did the same. Nicholas B something. I don't know. I don't remember his full surname. but he did the soundtrack for Moonlight as well. And again, just French chef's kiss. Why do I keep saying French kiss? Chef's kiss. It's so good. I highly recommend listening to his work as well. He does the intro song for Succession. Amazing. Also check out Succession. Oh my god, girl, Succession on it's an HBO show. Jesus Christ, can you just get a hold of yourself? My god. But yeah, that was a ride. I love Moonlight, and that's what I liked about the movie. I like the directing, the cinematography, and the soundtrack, as well as the acting. I think all three of the Chirons did a fantastic job. The young Chiron and the Chiron in his childhood and Chiron in his teenage years, I think what they both did as actors, they really, from what I could interpret, excuse me, I was burping. From what I could interpret, what the two Chirons did is that they felt very untrusting of everyone and very anxious, and they felt very clenched as well. Like they kept like holding on to something they didn't want anyone else to find out, and they did a great job in that aspect. And then the older Chiron, Trevant Rhodes, I love him so much. He is a beautiful man. Um, that's what I'm gonna say in order to keep it PG. I think he's so great. I think he needs to. All of them need to be in more movies, especially Ashton Sanders. He is fantastic. If you haven't watched, what was it, Native Son? I highly recommend. He's good in that. Trevant Rhodes needs to be in more shows or more movies. But he did so good in a specific part. I think I can just talk about it now. Like this was my favorite moment. He receives a phone call from Kevin, which is like the only person in his life, not the only person in his life, but the only boy man that he's ever felt close with, that he's actually felt open with, I think. Um, So he receives a phone call from Kevin, and as soon as Kevin says Chiron, because at this time Chiron is kind of being called Black by everyone in the neighborhood, um, and Chiron, so Kevin says Chiron's name, and the little movement or the little change in demeanor that Trevon Rhodes does, I think was so good, and I absolutely love that moment. It's so good. He does a fantastic job there. I don't know if it was intentional or if he just put his little spice in there and they kept that, but it's brilliant. I think of that moment every time I think of the movie, as well as when Juan is his name. Oh, yeah. When he says the line, and in the moonlight, black boys look blue. I'm gonna call you Blue. That moment as well, and what like how he teaches him how to swim at that moment is so beautiful, so beautiful. I highly recommend this movie. It is so cute and so heartbreaking as well. It's a fantastic story. I absolutely love it. Speaking of stories, Parasite, released in 2019, directed and co-written by Bong Joon-ho. The other writer was Han Jin-won, who also, fun fact, who also worked on Sense8 and Okja. I love Sense8. Check it out. It's on Netflix. It's amazing. Unfortunately, we only got 2 seasons. It should have been more. Bong Joon-ho, again, another director's work who's just amazing. The Host, Snowpiercer. I haven't watched Memories of a Murderer or something. I think that's what it's called. But I do plan on watching it. What else has he worked on that's really good that everyone recommends? Yeah, he obviously did Okja. Mother. Oh, I want to check out Mother as well. Yeah, he sincerely deserved every award that he achieved. this is, I think, like, not to be over dramatic or anything, but I think Parasite is like one of those films, like one of those classics that people are going to talk about for a very long time, and it makes me so happy because this movie is so good. Ugh, it's so good. I love it. And I think it's going to be my favorite for a very long time as well. So what this movie is about, like, even the synopsis is very short because you shouldn't go into this movie knowing much about it, because what, like, the how it unfolds is cinema. Again, not to be over dramatic, but it's cinema. It's like top tier. It's up there. But anyway, the synopsis says all unemployed Kitaki's family takes peculiar interest in the wealthy and glamorous parks for their livelihood until they get entangled in an unexpected incident. I how do I give you more information without really giving too much away? This movie is, so yeah, basically this unwealthy family, the Kitakis, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. This unwealthy family, poor family, in Korea, they kind of make their way into this very wealthy family's home and life. They kind of like invade it. And like wealthy, like super, like their home is amazing. I would love to live there. And yeah, they just, there's, as they all make their way into that home, like just chaos ensues. And there's so many, what I love about this movie is that there's so many layers to it as well. Like as you keep going, as you keep watching, you keep finding out more and more things, and it's so good. And the message of capitalism and classism in Korea, I think Bong Joon-ho really just, he nailed, what the hell is that expression? I'm gonna take too long thinking about it, but you know the expression about nailing the head in the coffin. Is that what the expression is? Anyway, doesn't matter. But he put his point across, was what I'm trying to say. And I think it was done so well. And what I also loved is the editing of this movie. I don't know if they, Bong and the editor, oh, I should really find the name. They worked, hopefully, obviously. No, they did. They obviously worked really closely together, because every shot, this movie felt like it was one take. Um and one takes, I think, are incredibly hard to do, so when it's done well and fantastically. But yeah, no, in this movie it feels like everything is just one take. Everything just flows so well and so nicely together that it just seems like everything is a one take shot, but it's not, because there are a couple of cuts. But the story just unfolds, it's so smooth. The way the story unfolds is very smooth, and at the midpoint, you see, you, like, you can tell when the shift is going to happen. And my favorite moment is at the midpoint, when they are, besides the montage of, or the sequence rather, of how everyone gets into the house. I think the music build up as well, and the way that's done, ooh, so good, so good, so good, so good. But the my favorite moment is when it starts raining, and they have to make their way down to their home, and the again, the sequence of how that happens, so brilliant, so brilliant. It's so good. Watch it if you haven't watched it. I highly recommend this one as well. I think I went from, like, not my least favorite, because all of them are my favorites, but like my favorite to like my most favorite, which is Parasite, and it's a fantastic film, and I absolutely love every single minute of it. And my favorite K-drama actor, Park Sun-joon, makes his appearance in the very beginning, and oh, he's so cute. He's so cute. I want to watch Divine Fury soon, but I really can't find it anywhere, so I have to look for that. Um, but I'll talk more about him in my next episode, which is going to be about K dramas. Because, as I said before, I have been binging K dramas. I've watched, and this is not a lot. This is not a lot of K dramas. I've watched 14 K dramas in this whole year during quarantine. Again, it's not a lot. There are a lot of K dramas out there, and many people have watched more. So I just want to talk about my ranking of them and why they are in that specific position. And I hope to watch more as well. I'm currently watching, I think, four at the same time. And if you know K dramas, they are not short. So yeah. But those are my four top favorite movies and what I like to watch. I think throughout them you can tell that I like stories that have fantastic visuals to them and stories that are just well thought out and have actual substance to them. Um, yeah, those are like my favorite kind of movies. I also like the trashy kind of movies as well, like the Lifetime kind of movies. The movies you can just put on in the background. I like those as well. But I think out of all four of these, they all have different genres. I think my least favorite genre would be an action movie, but my most favorite is like a dark thriller type movie. And I think Parasite fits that bill, as well as not just Parasite. All of them are very light and sad. Did I cry in Parasite? I don't think I did. Why would I have cried in Parasite? No, I didn't cry in it. So, so just the first three that I mentioned, I cried in. But Parasite, no. But I'm an easy crier, so I don't. That doesn't really say much. Um, I think that's it. I think we're good, and I've talked not for that long. I hope for not that long because was that a proper sentence that came out of my mouth? It doesn't matter. Anyway, I think this is a good amount of time I've talked for. Hopefully it wasn't too long. Hopefully you listened the whole way through or were productive in whatever you're doing and just had me on in the background. If so, thank you for sticking with me throughout this whole, let's say, I want to say 40 minutes I've been talking. Thank you for sticking with me for like 40 minutes. You didn't have to. I really appreciate it. I hope you tune in for the next episode. I'm really excited about what's going to happen with this. Um, yeah. So I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.